Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. The National Football League is back, and we are back here to preview week one of the Alliance National Football League. We're going to be running through every game from Division 1 down to Division 4. It's the calm before the storm in terms of the National Football League, and the actual storm, of course, which is on the way. And we hope everyone who is watching is okay and wrapped up and, stocked up for the next kind of day or so. Joined by Matthew Hurley for this one from the Gaelic Statsman to preview week one of the Alliance National Football League. Matthew, feels like a long time ago when we were previewing any inter-county football, so it's it definitely feels great to have it back.
It does, yeah, and thanks for having me on again, Aaron. I suppose with the Gaelic football this year, it's kind of going into the unknown, because we don't know who's going to do well with new rules. And maybe this kind of week is one of the hardest weeks to predict games, because we don't know, will this team play defensive football? Will they find a way? Will they find loopholes? How good are they at shooting from 40 meters out? Have they adapted to the 3 up, 3 back rule? Can they speed up the play with a solo goal? Like, a lot of questions will be answered this weekend. And I suppose with no pre-season competitions as well. Yes, there's been a few challenge games here and there. I know Galway beat Kildare a few weeks ago with Paul Conroy scored 4 2-pointers. I know I have to mention this, Cork did beat Dublin in the challenge game recently, with the only 2-pointer coming from a Cork player, one McSweeney. So, but then again, challenge games, you can't really read too much into it. It's a difficult kind of set of events. And then again, like you said it yourself, the games could be off this weekend if the weather gets worse than what is anticipated by Wet Aaron. We could have games being called off left, right and centre this weekend. And let's not forget there's hurling as well. There's LGFA. There's 2 club finals still to be finished as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of action, but it could be pulled. But for now, we'll plough on into it and try and predict as many games as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. There could certainly be games cancelled this weekend. We'll obviously have to wait and see in regards to that. So yeah, something new we're going to do this year as well is an L predictions league. So we're going to have basically 7 different guests that will come on from the league for predicting the games in the league. And what we're going to do is Matthew here today is going to pick an L forfeit for me to do, and if his predictions are the best out of all the 7 guests, then I'll have to do the forfeit. So I don't plagiarize, so I have taken this idea from the Irish guy over on YouTube. I don't know. I highly doubt he'll be watching this, to be fair. But yeah, no, I took that idea from him. I think it was a good idea to run with, to be fair. So so how it'll work is, for every prediction that Matthew gets right, he'll get a point, and then if he gets the margin of victory correct as well, he'll get 3 points as well. So there's added a little incentive there. So look, Matthew, you're week one. So obviously, at the end of this week, you're going to be top of the league, top of the leaderboard by default. But if you are, top of the leaderboard when it all comes to an end, what's your forfeit going to be for me?
First of all, just on a side note, Aaron, it's coincidental that I'm on the first week, the toughest week to predict, because we don't know what the new rules and things like that. And and we'll get more of a sense in the league as well as that, and to no pre-season competitions. It's the toughest week, so I'm already at a disadvantage, I have to say, but enough about that. But my forfeit to you, if I do top the leaderboard, I probably won't at the end of, but I want you to go in the middle on a big match day, like a league final or something like that, in the middle of Jones's Road, get a loudspeaker, buy a loudspeaker, buy a Cork jersey, go in the middle of Jones's Road and say into the middle of the loudspeaker, Cork is the real capital.
Wow. Okay. Jesus. I was wondering what this could be, and I was thinking, Jesus, that's I really hope you definitely don't top the leaderboard, to be fair. I'd be interested to see if someone comes up with a better one than that. So yeah, buying a Cork jersey, a speaker, Cork are the real capital. Oh Jesus, no, I don't know. But yeah, but look, if you do top the leaderboard, look, I will do it. I'm gonna stay true to my word here. So absolutely, we will 100% do it. It'll probably be for a championship game, maybe a Leinster final when no one's really there. No, we'll do it for a big championship game. We'll do it properly. Mikey says here, Aaron will be doing the forfeit every week. So it will be just the person who tops the leaderboard. Now, if we did it on a one-off, I would lose probably every week, so I would have to do forfeits every week. So as much as I I'm going to put myself through a bit of torture here, I'm not going to put myself through it every week. Although it probably would be decent content in fairness. So look, we'll dive straight into it. We'll start with Division 1 and we'll start with Galway versus Armagh. Repeat of the All-Ireland final from last year, as we very well know. And it is, I suppose, as you said, it's so hard to predict a lot of these games. And maybe you coming on in the first week, you probably are at a bit of a disadvantage to everyone else in fairness. But look, that's just the look of the draw in fairness. But in terms of this game, like repeat of the All-Ireland final, like Armagh, like there are some murmurings around Armagh at the moment in terms of everything that happened with that trip in the States. You'd imagine there'll be big players dropped. Like I don't think you'll see Comer or Walsh. I don't think you'll see Rian O'Neill. You mightn't even see Conor Turber for this one. But what are we thinking?
For me, like, I think two of these sides meeting in the All-Ireland final, obviously last year, a lot of history between these two sides. It was a draw at the group stages as well. I feel like this has a draw written all over it. The fact that Galway won't play their top players like Comer and Walsh, that he was announced tonight. I've seen it just briefly before we came on air. There wasn't any standout players in that Galway team. There were some good Secrets of Cup players and things like Cillian O'Corrine, I think was in the starting 15 out of the corner of my eye. But there were standout players in that Galway team. And Armagh, maybe a bit of an All-Ireland final hangover in the first game week as well. So I think this probably is a draw written all over it. I think it'll be a good time for these two sides to get used to the new rules at the same time as well, because like the time to peak is going to be the end of the league or the start of the championship or any time of the championship. It's not going to be at the start of the league, especially for Division 1 sides. And Division 1 sides are at an advantage there where they can ease off a small bit for the first maybe 3-4 match weeks and then go hell for leather for the last few weeks. Whereas in Division 2, Division 3, for example, you have to go hell for leather for the full 7 rounds. So I think it really has a draw written all over there. And the two teams might not play to their full strength. And as well as that, they might be feeding each other out a small bit. There wasn't pre-season competitions, but there were pre-season kind of friendlies, challenge games and stuff like that for both sides. So especially for Galway, they played Kildare a few weeks ago. So I'd probably go for a draw. I think that's probably the safest bet, and I think that's probably the result that has it written all over the page.
Yeah, I predicted Armagh to finish 6th in my National Football League predictions. Definitely got a little bit of stick for that, and on TikTok as well. I think it's the one prediction that a lot of people seem to be most unhappy with. Do you think that's being a bit harsh on the All-Ireland champions, or would you have them a little bit further ahead?
Looking at the predictions, and I did it going game by game and calculate the points, and I actually had Armagh in second place in the predictions. So I had them behind Donegal. I said on Seamus' show last night on Clehe. I just feel like their fixture list is kind enough to them. I think they'll draw this game as well. Like, yes, there was a bit of unrest, let's just say, in the States. We can't say much more because we don't know what exactly went on over there. But Galway aren't full strength either, and they'd want to just feel into the league and just try out new things in this game against Armagh. And I think when you look at the fixture list for other sides compared to Armagh, I think it is favourable for them to finish high in the league, in my opinion. Like a lot of people are saying Kerry will reach the final, and yes, I think Kerry are brilliant side. I think the rule will suit them. But you look at Kerry's fixture list, for example. I know we're going off kilter, but Kerry have only 3 home games. They have 4 away games up in the north, and we know historically Kerry do not travel well. And you know what yourself, like if you get off the bus in, let's say, Celtic Park in Derry or an Omagh in Tyrone, or on a winter's day, you will not have kind of the drive to get over the line, especially in a league game. So that might have an influence on that too. Dublin are a bit changed as well. So I think like Armagh could definitely target a league final, in my opinion. I think at the same time though, the caveat to it is I don't think the league will be necessarily a target for Kieran McGeeney's men. I think Ulster has to be. Like, they haven't won one since 2008. They've won the All-Ireland now. It is perfect opportunity to go on and win the Anglo-Celt Cup and kind of cement their dominance more so in Ulster. So I think probably the Ulster Championship is going to be the main thing for them. But I think when you look at the fixture list that they do have, I think there is a potential that they'll finish high in this league. Whether they actually want to finish high in the league, it remains to be seen, because you see this kind of a Division 1 campaign over the last few seasons. It's kind of like which team could be bothered and which team wouldn't be. Like, I just think it's kind of that kind of scenario. And that's why Division 1, in a way, especially with the top 8 teams, in my opinion, are going to be in Division 1 this year. That's what makes it so hard to predict in a way. So, yeah, we'll have to see. The proof will be in the pudding, I suppose, this weekend.
Yeah. Like, it is interesting. I do think, even though I have Armagh in 6th, I don't think they'll be in a relegation battle. I think be more so. I do think Galway will win this game personally, just because of how that All-Ireland final went. I just think Galway will have something more to prove in this game, and I think the game will matter that bit more for Galway. Also, I've seen Paul Conroy in a few challenge games and stuff look absolutely brilliant with that 2-point rule. So I think he's really, really going to light it up, in my opinion. So, yeah, Matthew's going with a draw. I'm going to go with a Galway win. We were mentioning Kerry there, away to Donegal. This is, according to my predictions anyway, the top 2 in the league. Massive game for both counties, especially for Kerry, obviously coming in with the new rules and everything else. Certainly have the players to do damage with the new rules. And then, of course, Donegal as well. Michael Murphy back in the fold. And there is so much hype around Donegal at the moment. Like, listening to most people's predictions, like, I've predicted them to reach the final. I think, as you were saying, you've predicted them to finish in the top 2. I think almost everyone I've seen, to be honest, across TikTok and YouTube or whatever it might be, has Donegal at least getting in the top 2, if not winning it. So there's a huge amount of hype around Donegal at the moment.
There is, yeah. I think you might have got mixed up there, Aaron. I just double check my notes. It's Kerry at home, isn't it, to Donegal?
So there we go. We'll swap them. We'll do an L swap around there. So yeah, maybe it won't be as tough for Kerry anymore then, going away. But still, nonetheless, like, Donegal, as we know, do start the league very, very fast.
Yeah, I think this is a year where Donegal can top Division 1, in my opinion. I think they'll do very, very well. I think this will be their only loss of the Division 1 season, though. I think Kerry will win, and maybe the main reason for this is Kerry have home advantage. They usually do well wherever it is, Tralee or Killarney. They do well at home. Donegal, again, like, that's a long journey for that Donegal team to go down to Kerry. Yes, I think Donegal will show some bright sparks in this game. It'd be very interesting to see where Michael Murphy plays. Does he play in goal? Does he play in full forward? We'll have to see. The proof will be in the pudding on Sunday, I'm guessing, if Jimmy manages to play Michael Murphy, that is. It'll be interesting to see what Jimmy McGuinness has up his sleeve for this game and for the entire season, because he kind of changed the rule book in a way in 2012. He kind of changed the persona of Donegal football and the persona of Gaelic football overall as well. He has the potential to do that this year as well. And I think Donegal will be unbeaten in their next 6 games, but I think they'll lose this one because, like, it's a long journey down to Kerry. It's going to be difficult for them to go down to Kerry and get a win here. Whereas Kerry, it's going to be very, very interesting if they start David Clifford, Tony Brosnan and Sean O'Shea straight off the bat. It's going to be interesting to see how they flourish under the new rules, because a lot of people have been arguing, including myself, that if you have them 3 in the full forward line, they're going to cause absolute havoc for any defence if there's 3 up, 3 back. So, like, David Clifford doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to trap back or anything like that. And Clifford is capable of kicking 2-pointers, as we all know. So, I think Kerry will suit it well to these rules. I think, like, to start the league off right, Kerry nearly have to win this game. It's in front of their home fans. I think they have to get off the right mark and win this one. I think this might be a good opportunity to lay down a marker at the same time and show Donegal maybe who's boss a small bit. So, yeah, I think Kerry will win this game. I think it'll be about, I'm going to say 2 points in the end, but it will be a tie one. But I think what will push Kerry over the line is home advantage.
Yeah, Cuckoo says here, I agree from your previous TikTok that Donegal are overrated. last year. They maxed their potential. A lot of other teams have a lot more to offer. Yeah, like it's I don't really think I was kind of more like that was probably more tongue in cheek and me just messing around, to be fair. But like I do think Donegal are a very good team. Don't get me wrong. And I have predicted them to get to the final. And in my 2025 GA predictions, I've actually predicted them to win it as well. It's probably over the last few days I started to think, are they? The reason for the hype is obviously last year, like and Jim McGuinness and Michael Murphy coming back in, and the new rules as well. Like they have players who can really, really execute the new rules. But there is still like a good bit for Donegal to prove. Like it's going to be interesting to see how they do in Division 1 this year. It's going to be interesting to see, can they, there wasn't a huge amount of pressure on them last year, I don't think. They went into a lot of games where the pressure wasn't on, and I think that suited them. I think a lot more teams will be aware of Donegal this time around. And again, I don't think the gap between all the counties is very, very big. So you can make a case for a lot of different counties. But you're backing Kerry to win by what margin?
I'm going to say Kerry by 2 points. It'll be a close one, but I think Kingdom will start their season right at home.
I'm actually going to back Donegal to win this. I think Jim McGuinness, as we've seen in the league, especially Division 2, at the start of Division 2 last year, they started the league like an absolute house on fire, and it's the most Jim McGuinness Donegal-esque thing to start the league very, very strong. And I think these lads will be bang up for it. Like, what a chance, what a statement it would be for them to go away to Kerry and win. That would be an incredible achievement, and I think they will do it. I'm going to go with a 2-point win for Donegal. Dublin versus Mayo in Croke Park. We don't need to check the notes for this one. I definitely got this one right. In Croke Park, we'll be there. Looking forward to it. Back on Hill 16 and everything else. It's interesting because both of these two are going in probably with a little bit of slight negativity. I think Dublin have lost more key players than Mayo have lost in terms of, I don't think Cillian O'Connor was a starter. I don't think Pádraig O'Hara was necessarily a starter for Mayo either, but those two have left the panel. James Carr has left the panel as well. But you look at the players that Dublin are going to be missing. Brian Fenton's retired. James McCarthy is obviously retired. You're not going to have the Coola lads, so you're not going to have Con, who's going to play this weekend. You'd imagine anyway. I think it'd be crazy to put them lads in there, and I couldn't see Desi Farrell doing that, in my opinion. You won't have Mick Fitz, Pádraig Cuffick Byrne, these lads, like they're not going to play. So, and it's hard to know what kind of team is going to be out there for Dublin. How do you see this going?
One player that is coming back for Dublin, though, and there is a lot of negativity around Dublin, you're right. But I read an RT article earlier today that James Madden from the AFL is actually coming back to Dublin. So
yeah, Desi said it last night, in his interview. Yeah,
it should be interesting to see what he offers to the table and where does he play around the field. I think he'd be ideal in the middle of the park, especially with Brian Fenton gone, with the strength that he has gained, obviously, from AFL, which a lot of players do over there. So I think he'd be a shrewd kind of addition to the Dublin panel. There's no doubt about it. Larkin O'Dell is there. Ross McGarry. There's a lot of pressure on those lads to perform. Colin Pascal to maybe recapture his form from 2023 as well. Like there is potential in, like, Greg McEnany performed well in the Sigerson Cup over the last few weeks. So is Conor Dolan for DCU. He scored something like 2-7 per play. It'd be interesting to see if Daisy actually brings him in to the panel or something like that. Like Luke Brannock as well is a player that I really like and underage as well. So like there is a new kind of era for Dublin. When you look at Mayo, though, they don't have their younger talented players coming up through the ranks until maybe 2-3 years down the line. Like Kobe MacDonald is too young. O'Shane Dean is too young. Like they were minor last year. They won't come into the panel until the next few seasons. I think with Cillian O'Connor and Pádraig O'Hara gone, that is going to have a major impact, not on the pitch, obviously, but in the dressing room. Mayo are lacking leaders now. And you look at Dublin, as far as we know, Cluxton's still there, Mannion's still there, but there are rumours that they're gone. I think that the only way we'll actually know 100% about that situation is we'll actually see on Saturday night, are they in the panel? We don't know as of now, but if Cluxton and Mannion are still on the panel there, if Cormac Costello's still there, they're still experienced campaigners in that Dublin team. And I don't feel like you could say the same about Mayo. And when you look at Mayo as well, Ryan O'Donoghue, I thought, like, top scorer overall in the championship when Mayo went out before the quarterfinals is a superb achievement. But then you look at it into it deeply and you think, Ryan O'Donoghue was really Mayo's only key scorer, wasn't he, last year? Other than, to be fair, Jordan Flynn from Crossmolina Rovers, who was brilliant for wing forward. But again, Jordan Flynn won't be there this weekend because Crossmolina are in a club final this weekend against Ballinderry Shamrocks. So that's a loss to Mayo. I feel like when you take that all into account, I think Dublin might edge this one just to start the league right. They don't want to lose in Croke Park for a second season running and for the third time in 4 years. They don't want to do that in this Alliance League campaign. They've started in Croke Park now the last 3 league campaigns, and they lost 2, and we're very close to losing against Kildare Division 2 in 23 as well. They don't want to start off badly, Dublin. So I feel like that'll be at the back of the players' minds, at the back of Daisy's mind as well, and maybe to shut up the doubters that have been saying in the media that this team is finished. There are some younger players coming through, and like I do feel like they have a chance to prove themselves in this team. Like Great McEnany performed well in the league final against Derry, for example. He's going to be more of a key kind of clog in that Dublin team this year, for example. James Madden coming back from AFL is going to be a key player now with Brian Fenton gone, with James McCarthy gone. I feel like this is an opportunity for these Dublin players to step up. I don't know what you think about that yourself, Aaron, but it might be the best opportunity that they have when you look at like the condensed nature of the season.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially in the league. Like there are a good few injuries in there as well. Like Lee Gannon still isn't back from his injury. I've heard of a few other injuries in the panel as well. Alan says Dublin have 16 new players as well. And Davy Burns back in the panel as well. So that's going to be huge from a Dublin perspective. Be interesting to see if he starts in the league or whether he's rested for a little bit later on. Gavin says someone else said the last day the club finals should be in March, but I'm the opposite. I think it should be done before Christmas because Ballinderry and Crossmolina are playing, but there's no one talking about it. Tyrone and Dublin are short players as well. Yeah, like there probably is that slight disadvantage to the counties, who had who had players who were playing in club finals. I do agree with that. Like it's a hard, like before Christmas, I think before Christmas, ideally, like if you could do that, I'd agree, because like the little kind of gap that you have over Christmas, I think it would be better for the players to finish before Christmas, give them the Christmas break and everything else. But then it would just be, you're trying to condense more games in. But look, it probably is a conversation for another day. Could Dublin be in relegation trouble? Could both of these be in relegation trouble, do you think? Because looking at Dublin's fixtures as well,
I've predicted it.
They play. So they play.
I predict.
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, I predicted the 2D sides actually be in the bottom 3. Mayo to finish 8th and Dublin to finish 6th. So I feel like both of them will be in relegation trouble, in my opinion, just because of Dublin obviously bringing in new players. But it is an opportunity at the same time for these players to shine. As for Mayo, I just think they've lost a lot of leaders now, and you looked at their games last year, they just couldn't finish out games, Mayo, and it was just like they performed well against, let's say, for example, Dublin in the height. They performed well, but they just couldn't get over the line. They just couldn't find that little inch to get themselves over the whitewash. And there has to be a reason for that. And I feel like with McStay now, he's had, the first season was very, very exciting up until obviously the quarterfinal loss to Dublin. The second season kind of dipped. I don't like to say this because obviously you want the best for Mayo. Mayo are probably everybody's second team. But I just felt like it looked like a dip in fortunes last year for that Mayo side under McStay. And there could be an indication that this year could get worse. So yeah, I think it'll be a tight one because Dublin are bringing new players. This game in particular. I think Dublin will be in a relegation battle, but ultimately survive. For this game, I think Dublin will win it by, I'm going to go 3-4, but I'm going to go Dublin by 4.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a draw, to be honest with you. I think I do agree. Dublin have only won the opening game in the National Football League under Desi Farrell once, and that was when we beat Kildare when we were in Division 2. We've had a lot of very bad results. Maybe actually in that kind of mini kind of COVID league, I think we actually won the opening game there as well. So maybe twice, but albeit just once when in Division 1. So we do start leagues quite poorly. We lost to Monaghan last year as an example. There'll be a lot of new faces in. And look, it is, as you said, with the new rules as well, it's going to be very interesting to see what players can exploit it. But I'm going to go for a draw. Gaelic Guy says, I'm back in Tyrone and Donegal victories, and Galway, Armagh and Dublin, Mayo to all draw. And I suppose that leads us on to the last game then in Division 1. So we do have a big game between Tyrone and Derry. I suppose there was a lot of animosity maybe between these two last year, maybe caused by a one Mickey Hart, and Derry have only gone out and got themselves another Tyrone man, and Tyrone have only gone out and not necessarily got a Derry man, because Malachy O'Rourke isn't a Derry man, but he did have a lot of ties with Derry, and he knows a lot of these players obviously as well from his time with Watty Graham's Glen. So yeah, there's a lot of storylines going into this one.
There is, yeah, and I think one of the big ones is what's Derry's attitude going to be coming into this game? Because last year, like, the league was so good for them, and then in the championship they dipped massively. Like, the Donegal game was kind of the catalyst for bad things to happen after that. Armagh, they got hammered. Westmeath, they just got over the line, and then ultimately at the quarterfinal against Kerry, it just looked like, to me anyway, it looked like the players didn't care. That they didn't want to get to one or the semi-final. They wanted to go out of the championship. Maybe it's because of Mickey Hart leaving. But the managerial process after that, I firmly believe Derry didn't get their first choice manager. I think the utmost Derry supporters would agree with me on this statement. Because Paddy Tally, it took, I'd say, in and around, 3 months to appoint him after Mickey Hart left. That's not a good sign. It isn't really a good sign. And you look at Paddy Tally, yes, he was the catalyst in getting Kerry over the line in the All-Ireland in 2022, and does implement defensive styles and has done so with Tyrone and Kerry and all them teams, and has done well at the coaching side of things. But when he's the manager, you looked at his record in Down. Like, Down were really, really poor under Paddy Tally, I remember. Like, Down were a shadow of a team they are now, for example. So I feel like he's not necessarily the best manager Derry could have got as well. And again, like, it's just a bad sign when things like that happen. And it's going to be interesting to see the attitude of these Derry players as well. Like, Chris McCaig is obviously retired as well. Will that have an influence in their kind of experience in the panel too? We'll have to see, obviously. But this is such an unknown season for Derry, and I don't know what's going to happen here. As for Tyrone, things look, I would say, rosier in the garden. Malachy O'Rourke's come in. He's a born winner from Watty Graham's Glen. I think he's the best manager, one of the best managers Tyrone could have got. Like, maybe there was more out there, and maybe, like, it was, like, I know we managed Monaghan before, and there was a bit of animosity between Monaghan and Tyrone when Malachy O'Rourke was manager of Monaghan, but that's under the harbour now. He's gone in as the Tyrone manager, and the signs for the Tyrone camp seem to be very, very good, and the signs for Tyrone football in general seem to be very, very good as well. I know the Armagh lads won't play this weekend. That's obvious. Peter Hart would have been tired after last week's brilliant display against Coola. The two Canavans, look, that will take a long time for them to recover from their respective injuries. Joe Goose, I don't think, will play this weekend either. But they still have some brilliant players like Con Kilpatrick, Brian Kennedy are still available. Niall Devlin's still available. Will Mark Bradley start in this one? Owen McElhone is a player I'm really looking forward to seeing in this Alliance League. Shea O'Hare and number 5 as well, if he does play there. Or will it be too soon to play him there after under 20? Niall Morgan, what's his attitude going to be with these new rules as well? Is he going to play as an extra attacker in this game to kind of set another example? I think Tyrone, because of their home advantage, they're in front of their home fans as well, and the fact the vibes seem to be good coming out of that camp, I think Tyrone will win the game, but I think it'll be tight just because they're missing the Aragil lads. They won't win it as comfortably. I think it'll be something like, I'd say Tyrone by 3, but I think Tyrone will win this game to open up the league campaign.
Yeah, I actually fancy Derry, to be honest, to get the win here. Just because of I do agree with you. I think Tyrone will have a good season and everything else, and I think they'll be fine in the division. I don't think they'll be in any relegation trouble or anything of that nature. I think both of these will finish somewhere around the middle, fourth or fifth or something of that nature. And it could even be a draw as well. Like I think you could actually potentially see a draw in this one as well. But I just think after how poorly the championship ended for Derry, and I know they went really strong in the league last year, and maybe there is that argument that they don't want to go as strong again because, they kind of burnt out a little bit last year. But I think Paddy Tally coming in, he'll want to set down the marker. He'll want to get Derry off on the right foot. You'll have a lot of them lads as well who will be rested. A lot of the lads weren't playing for, there was no Watty Graham's Glen in the, latter part of the All-Ireland Club Championship this time around. So for the first time in a long time, Conor Glass will be coming in a little bit fresh. Same for Kieran McFall. A lot of those Derry lads as well. I know some of them were involved, obviously, with Slot Neal. Won't have Chrissy McKaig, as you said. But no, I think Derry will come in and probably just about nick it. I think it'd be interesting, though, with the new rules as well, because you would have said with the old rules, this would be one of them, like, typical early January kind of scrappy games where both sides aren't giving a lot away because of, the Ulster Championship later in the year and you don't want to show your hand. But with the new rules, it might open it up a little bit more, so it'll be interesting to see. But I am going to go for Derry to win it by a single point. You're going with Tyrone by a point?
I'm going to go Tyrone by 3 points.
Tyrone by 3. There we go. So yeah, there are the fixtures from Division 1. A few comments here. Could see a Dubs win as well as Cluxton return for the championship. It could be. Derry should win this when Tyrone don't have the Canavans. Kieran says Armagh, Donegal, Dublin and Derry to get over the line this weekend. Some good predictions there. Tom says very hard to predict Division 1 final standings. Everything could go down to the final weekend's matches to determine who gets relegated and who goes into the final. Bandit says here, lads, new rules, Omagh, Derry, Tyrone, we're in for chaos. It's going to be a chaotic game, no doubt about that. Shane says, hey lads, looking forward for Kerry team announcement tomorrow night. Going to be a lot of new faces, which is always exciting. Stay safe tomorrow. Yeah, you too, my man. You too. That wraps up Division 1. Division 2, no better place to start. Cork versus Meath. Last time Cork played Meath in the opening game of the championship in Páirc Uí Chaoimh was 2 years ago, I believe. And Meath won that, and it was Colm O'Rourke's first game as well. Are we going to see something similar, do you think? Or how do you think this one goes?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult enough to call this one. I would say, first of all, I'm going to this game not as a fan. I'm going into the media box in this one, so looking forward to this. Hopefully, it'll be a good game of football. I spoke to John Cleary as well for the Southern Star last week for this week's paper, and despite the injury worries, the aim for John Cleary is always going to be promotion with this Cork team. And he says, like, even with the 8 lads stepping away, Stephen Sherlock, Jack Callan, Kevin Flahoy, all them players, he said it's an opportunity for new players to step up. And you have to agree with that. But you look at the injury news coming out of the Cork camp, it isn't that good. Ian Maguire's going to be out for the first 2 league games. So is David Buckley. Conor Corbyn's out for the full league campaign. Sean Meehan's out for the full league campaign. So are Kevin O'Donovan and Luke Fahey as well. There's murmurings about Colm O'Callaghan being out as well. That obviously isn't confirmed, but we'll have to see the team news maybe later today or tomorrow morning. We'll have to see the hurlers that just announced their team there, but the footballers, there's been no signs so far. It should be an interesting enough game. Like, there are good vibes coming out of Meath. I was on the We Are Meath podcast with David Rispin as well this week, and like, the young players that they have and the fact that Robbie Brennan's coming in and he's excited about the role, I think the good vibes are coming out of this Meath camp, even though Davey still emphasises, well, coming down to Páirc Uí Chaoimh on a Saturday evening is going to be tougher than Meath players just because of the logistics of it, a long journey and things like that. I feel like it's a game that hasn't much pressure on it attached to Meath, but there's a lot of pressure for this Cork team, because you look at the record on match day one for this for Cork, the Cork footballers. Over the last 7 match day one games across the Alliance League in every division, Cork have only won 1 game, and that's against Offaly in Division 3 in 2020. So they haven't won any Division 2 games on match day one. So it may be an opportunity to write that stat in a way, and as well as that, write their home form, because the Cork have 4 home games this year. It is an opportunity to state their claim and things like that as well. Like it's going to be a very, very difficult one to call. Again, with the new rules, the new rules could suit this Cork team. They might not. They could suit the Meath team. We'll have to see on Saturday evening. But one thing is for sure, I think there's a lot of pressure on Cork and John Cleary in this one to win it. As for Meath, I think if they win it, it's going to be brilliant. If they don't, they could still go into, I think they're playing Westmeath next weekend in match day 2. And you look at the amount of players in Westmeath have lost themselves, and that's going to be a huge blow for them in terms of the colossal players that they've lost. I think that's a winnable game for Meath. So, look, if Meath do win this weekend, you could see them on 4 points, and suddenly there's a possible promotion charge there. So, be interesting this weekend. It'll be an interesting watch.
Yeah, I fancy Meath, to be honest with you. Now, it is interesting. They do have a few players obviously playing Sigerson Cup, so it'll be interesting to see how many players are involved. But they do have a lot of great players, and I think they definitely have players there that can exploit the new rules, and the likes of Owen Frayne, Jordan Morris. I think definitely good enough players there to take advantage. As you said, with Cork missing, Stephen Sherlock not going to be there. Kevin Fulhiv has gone to Australia as well, so there's definitely some big players missing, but I fancy Meath to go up there. And I don't think it would be, I remember when they went there 2 years ago and won quite comfortably. Don't think it'll be as comfortable now. I think it'll maybe be 2 points is probably what I'll go for. But are you going to back the Rebels, or are you going to go against the grain?
I'm going, the thing is, like, you do go with your heart or your head at this. I think I'm going to go for Cork by a point, but that's as far as I can go with this kind of team. And the reason for that maybe is because John is, like, he wants to start the league well, John Cleary. Like, I was interviewing him as well, and seeing other media interviews for the Echo and the Examiner. John wants to start the league well with this Cork team, and as well as that, the long journey for the Meath players as well. You'd hope from a Cork point of view that'll be enough to get the Rebels over the line. I think Cork by a point, but it's going to be squeaky. It's going to be a tight game, and it could go either way, but I'm going to edge it to Cork by just the minimum. There
we go. Cavan versus Monaghan is up next, the other game on Saturday evening. I feel like Division 1 has thrown up a lot of kind of teams who are very familiar with each other, or storylines or something of that nature. And this is definitely another one. It's obviously 2 big rivals, neighbours, and everything else. Cavan beat Monaghan, let's not forget, in the championship last year, in the Ulster Championship, and what a win that was for Raymond Galligan's men. Looking at Monaghan, first of all, though, like, new man coming in, Gabriel Bannigan's coming in there. Certainly not too well known outside of Monaghan circles. I think a lot of Monaghan fans would be familiar with him, but I think outside, certainly for myself and yourself, we wouldn't know too much about him. Conor McManus isn't there; he's retired. So yeah, what are you thinking with Monaghan going into this year? Is this the start of a decline, a regression, or could Monaghan maybe surprise us like they so often do?
I think they showed some bright sparks in I watched the highlights of the game against Mayo in the challenge game in Castlebar, and there were some bright sparks from that Monaghan team. I thought they were decent enough at patches, but they have lost a lot of players. And I listened to the podcast you were on with John McMahon and Kevin Kennedy on Monday night, the JMAT podcast as well. And Kevin was talking about Monaghan having kind of the same kind of mentality in the backroom team, and that's a bad sign from Monaghan point of view, especially when they've only won 2 games overall last year. That could be, in a way. In ordinary circumstances, I actually probably would have gone Cavan to win this game because they were at home and they would have had more confidence. But then, on the same podcast, John actually mentioned about Paddy Lynch's injury. It's actually, according to John anyway, John is the main man to talk about Cavan football, but he said that if we heard that correctly, Paddy Lynch is not going to be fit for the league, that's a blow for Cavan if that is correct. Like when you look at last year, like you look at the championship games when Paddy Lynch was playing and when he wasn't playing against Tyrone and Monaghan, Cavan looked really, really good. They looked very, very competitive. As soon as they lose Paddy Lynch, then they look bang average against Mayo, against Dublin, and against Roscommon. They looked just outclassed by three of those sides. And I feel like home advantage might nick them a draw on this one. And the fact it's a rivalry as well, it's going to be nip and tuck as well. The historic kind of elements as well. I feel like this, again, like it's a safe bet, but I think a draw is written all over this game as well.
Yeah, it is interesting, like especially looking at Cavan, especially without Paddy Lynch in there. I know they've growed McKernan coming back in, but like you look at like from a forward perspective, like when you think of Monaghan, even though they don't have Conor McManus, you've still got Jack McCarron there, Conor McCarthy, albeit Conor McCarthy probably plays a bit further back now, but with the new rules, like that could be something we see a lot of a lot of teams doing, pushing their players back ever so slightly to, have more space to kick 2-pointers. You've got Micheál Bannigan in there, Kieran McNulty, I think is decent as well. But you look at Cavan, and aside from a Gerald McKernan, who isn't the type of player who's gonna get the same level of output as Paddy Lynch, in my opinion. Like that's the area where I look at Cavan and think, I thought James Smith was impressive at times last year, but I don't know if they have enough attacking quality. And I think like physicality wise, they're good. I think Raymond Gallagher's a good coach as well, but I think maybe that could be an area where they struggle a little bit with this year.
Yeah, I think so as well. And when you look at their games last year, like even the game of Páirc Uí Chaoimh against Cork, Paddy Lynch Cavan scored 17 points, and Paddy Lynch scored more than half their tally. That was kind of reminiscent to Cavan last year. Paddy Lynch was absolutely outstanding, but they relied a bit too much on him in terms of scores. And Seamus actually said Cavan have all the capabilities to win this game because of the confidence and stuff like that they brought in from last year to this year. And Monaghan just were devoid of confidence last season. But as soon as I mentioned the Paddy Lynch injury, he was saying, I'm reversing on this prediction. I'm going to go draw here, because that's the kind of demeanour that Paddy Lynch has on this team. He's an outstanding footballer, but they need more to step up. There might be someone in the league that steps up and gets a few 2-pointers here and there. I think it was Oisin Brady was that was taking the frees last year and wasn't as prolific as Paddy Lynch. So he needs to step up, or whoever's going to be on the frees this year. It's going to be interesting to see from a Cavan point of view. They have the strength. They have the, I don't know, is Paul Faulkner sticking around for another year. Garrett McKeon is another strong boy around the middle third as well. So is James Smith. Like, they do have some big, bulky lads, Cavan. The problem is up front, and Paddy Lynch is kind of influencing the team when he is playing. They just don't have that now. So yeah, I think a draw on this one, just because I think Monaghan, I think in Division 2 they'll be fine. I think they'll survive comfortably, but I think they'll be just off promotion because of the fact there was a bit of a divide of confidence last year, and it's just about getting back up on the horse this year and just getting a bit of positivity on the board from this Monaghan team point of view. But for this game in particular, I think a draw is probably going to be the result this weekend.
Yeah, Liam says Galway have a good team out for Armagh. Yeah, I did see they announced their team actually, and I was having a look at it there. Like, they have the likes of Conor Gleeson, Sean Kelly, Matthew Tierney's in there as well. No Comer or Walsh in the starting 15. I actually didn't check the substitutes. But yeah, no, strong enough. Paul Conroy starting as well. So Galway are going fairly strong. Strong enough anyway, you would say. Gavin says depends if Lynch is playing for Cavan. John was saying he won't be back till May, but at the same time he was on the bench for Crosserlock. But why would he if he was badly injured?
That's what I was saying. That was what I was thinking as well, Gavin, which was why I was surprised to hear John actually say that. Like, if John is on this pod, jump in, please, because like we actually don't know the situation with Paddy Lynch here. So
was that mind get, because like it was his ACL, wasn't it? And like usually that takes in around a year to recover from. Like that's the just a little bit before a year. Like that happened in April, and then October. Like I don't know if that was just a bit of mind games, maybe like reports going out, Paddy Lynch is back, just to try. I don't know, like maybe, but Look, we'll have to wait and see. If he is back, then fair play. It will be huge. But even at that, you don't want to rush a player back like that as well.
Yeah,
do you know that
it
way?
could ruin his career, Aaron, and you don't want that for a great forward like Paddy Lynch at the same time. Just for not just Cavan's point of view, but the whole of Gaelic football's point of view, because we need good forwards in the game. And Paddy Lynch definitely showed last year. He's one of the top 10 forwards in the country. I could safely say he's a really, really good player at that kind of level. And I'd agree with you. You don't want to rush him. You really don't. If he's not fit enough, I'd say Cavan just maybe at a push, maybe leave him 3-4 rounds of the league. And if things look a bit ropey in terms of relegation fears or anything like that, maybe chance your arm and bring him back then. But I wouldn't rush him into it. So, look, it's only the Cavan backroom team and the Cavan medics and things like that would know exactly what's going on. So we can't kind of speculate. But from what John was saying on Monday night, it doesn't sound good anyway. But we'll have to see on Saturday, I suppose.
Yeah, Terry says here, a hard one to predict, especially with Paddy Lynch out. And Keane says Cavan to shade this one. So you're going for the draw?
Yeah.
Going for the draw. I'm going to go Monaghan by 3. Roscommon versus Down. I feel like a lot of the games so far, you can make a case for either team. And look, you could make a case for either team maybe here as well. But you feel like for Down, although Down have made massive progress and won the Tailteann Cup and everything else. And look, Roscommon certainly weren't exactly perfect last year. So it'll be interesting to see how how well they start the league. And obviously Division 2 they have a great record in as well. Do you think Roscommon will do this here and start, especially with being at home, or could Down maybe? Down probably do have players who could take advantage with the new rules as well, to be fair.
Absolutely. And just a bit of spoilers for my Division 2 predictions. I think the two sides that we'll see in Dr. Hyde Park on Sunday will be the teams that go up from Division 2.
There we go.
I think those are the two sides that will go up. And I feel like Roscommon will win all their 7 games and potentially the final as well. Like Roscommon are that kind of team. They're too good for Division 2. And then when they get to Division 1, they flatter the Zeve a bit. But Roscommon this year, like Ben O'Carroll's back in the team. He's back flying fit. There's other players that could step up in this team, like Dermot Murta and Enda Smith and Tony Smith and all them. Darragh Craig is staying despite the AFL rumours. I seen an article there today as well that he wants to stay for Roscommon. That's a huge boost to him, because if there's one player that will have a huge advantage with the 2-pointer, it's going to be Darragh Craig. He has the potential to boot balls over the bar from anywhere. So that's a huge boost to Roscommon as well. I think Roscommon will win it. I think Down will be close. I think it'll be about, I'd say Roscommon by 3 in the end. But it should be, I think it'll be tight throughout, and then Roscommon might nick a goal through Ben O'Carroll or Darragh Craig or Dermot Murta to just seal the victory somehow. So I'm going to go to Rossies to win this one, but Down will be very, very impressive in this division going down the line.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Rossies by 4, in my opinion. Gavin says battered Down last time we played in 2022, but would expect Down to be a lot closer this time. Yeah, it definitely is a much different Down team nowadays. Like even their team and their panel has changed hugely over the last couple of years. So yeah, no, I'd go with the Rossies as well. I think home advantage, Hyde Park. I think they'll do enough there to come through it. Westmeath versus Louth. Mad, like a couple of years ago, if you had predicted this, you would have been all over Westmeath. But it feels like there is a good bit of negativity going around Westmeath coming into Division 2, which is a shame. They've no Ronan, they've no Ronan O'Toole, according to a few reports I've seen. No John Heslin, he's retired. Kevin Maguire isn't going to be there as well. So, I mean, they're missing a lot of
And I've heard rumours as well. Ronan Wallace might not be there either.
Wow.
So,
yeah, it has a Loud win, you'd imagine, written all over it.
Yeah. I think so as well. But I think Loud will win this game first and foremost. I think Westmeath will massively struggle in Division 2, which is a shame, because Westmeath had some excellent footballers, including O'Toole, including Heslin, including Wallace, and including Maguire, and an exciting coach in Desi Dolan. But you have to feel for Dermot McCabe coming in. with the amount of players that have left the panel for Westmeath. I wonder, is Foley Rende going to play any part of this one? Because he was really, really good for St. Lomans at the club championship. It maybe is the time to bring him in with the likes of O'Toole and Heslin gone, because like players like him have to step up, I think Louth will win this game, and probably about 5 points, in my opinion, just because of the negativity around Westmeath and the positivity around Louth. But one thing I will say, Aaron, it's going to be interesting to see Louth this year and how they adapt to the new rules, because every time you see Louth, once Samuel Roy takes a free, they retreat and they play 15 men behind the ball. They can't do that now. They have to keep 3 men up. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what Ger Brennan has up his sleeve. And the way I was saying at the start of the video, it's going to be difficult to see who, which counties the rules will suit the most and suit the least. Louth will be very, very interesting. Like, will it affect their defensive structure? Will it affect their shock ability in a way as well? I think they'll win this weekend and they'll win it comfortably by 5 points. But it'll be interesting to see later on down the line how the new rules will affect the wee county.
Gavin says it'll be interesting to see if Mayo, Westmeath or Leitrim, or these teams written off by the bookies, could do something like Fermanagh. We're so close last year. Yeah, look, there is always surprises. There absolutely is. And for sure, with our predictions here, there's going to be teams that will cause shocks. There'll be teams that we probably predict to do well and then won't do well. So these things do happen, and especially with the new rules as well, it does seem harder than ever to actually predict it. Nerb says here, is Lachlan still playing? As in Luke Lachlan, I think he is. Yeah. Liam says Samuel Roy will love the new rules. That is the thing, though. Like, Louth do have the players who can exploit the new rules, whether it be Samuel Roy.
The thing is, though, Aaron, Samuel Roy doesn't score a lot from play, though. That's potentially a downgrade. And the 40 and from the 45, actually, from a 45, if you kick it over the bar, though, it's only worth 1 point, not 2. And Samuel Roy is very good at that, but that could hinder his game as well. You never know. Might clutch his straws, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, like they do have Craig Lennon, Connor Grimes as well. But look, it'll be interesting. I do agree with you though as well. I think I'll go with a 5-point win for Louth there. So that wraps up Division 2. Moving on to Division 3, and we'll start off with Offaly versus Sligo. It is mad to think the man who won the league last year is now going to be managing as a joint manager in Division 3. In Mickey Hart in charge of Offaly. You would have got some odds on that if you had predicted that after Derry won the league. Just crazy stuff there. But Sligo as well, like they've been kind of gradually or incrementally building a little bit towards promotion. I have seen a lot of people looking towards them for promotion as well. I think they might just slightly miss out, but I wouldn't be entirely surprised if they did get there. Like it is kind of another one to look at here, another tough one to look at. But what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think Offaly will massively improve this year with the like they have some excellent players from under 20s down through the years, and Mickey Hart might bring kind of a discipline to this Offaly team, which they need. We'll have to see obviously how the double managerial act between young and old kind of works between Mickey Hart and Declan Kelly. Should be very interesting in that point of view. But I think this Sligo team is on an upward trajectory. And you say they're outside the promotion. Seamus actually had them at 4th in Division 3 in his predictions. And I'm like, that's way too low for this Sligo team, because the potential that they have in under 20s, the fact that Summerhill have done well in schools competitions down through the years, the fact that Coolera Strand have reached the semi-finals, the fact that Sligo team got very close to down in the Tailteann Cup, and the fact that they were winning whisker of beating all Ireland finalists Galway and Connacht. They were very, very close as well. This Sligo team is on an upward trajectory. I really think so. I think I'll tip them to go up this year, and I think they'll start off the league campaign with a win over Offaly. I think it'll be it might be a game where I think it'll be Sligo by 2 points. It might be a game where Offaly lead at half time, but then Sligo come back into the game and edge a win out of this one. So I'm going to go for Sligo by 2.
Yeah, Liam says we've players back, which is a positive, but injuries to crucial players like Declan Hogan could be a killer for us. And Gavin says here, Offaly v Sligo should be a showcase of young talent. Yeah, it actually is when you look at the underage success, albeit Offaly's was a few years before. But a lot of those players are very much playing, and it will be interesting. Like Mickey Hart, as much as we do, as much as he did get criticism for how things went at Derry, he's still like one of the best managers the sport has ever seen, in my opinion, in terms of what he done with Tyrone. Even, bringing Louth up from Division 4 and building those resources, or, building them foundations and everything else. It is that managerial kind of ticket, like kind of duo that'll be interesting to see. But I do agree, though. I will go with Sligo to win it as well. I'm going to go for them by 3 points. How many points did you say for Sligo? 4, was it?
I said 2.
2. There we go. Antrim versus Clare. A lot of negativity around Antrim. When I was speaking with Kevin Kennedy on John McMahon's podcast, he was very negative about Antrim, a lot more so than this time last year, where he actually reckoned they'd get promoted, and then they actually started the league really well. They won their opening 2 games. They're just, with Antrim, like, there's nothing at all coming through. There's no underage. There seems to be a lot of issues behind the scenes as well. And Clare have big players back, albeit they've had a change of manager themselves as well. Or they've not as well, because Antrim are obviously keeping Andy McEntee there, but they do have new players coming in, or new players coming back. Owen Cleary's coming back in, so it's very hard to look past Clare here, albeit Antrim, Corrigan Park, it can be a bit of a banana skin type game for teams sometimes.
I'm going to go for kind of a shock, judging by what you're saying here. I'm going to go Antrim by 1. And the reason is they're at home. Corrigan Park, Clare, they're travelling from Munster. It's a long, long journey on a Sunday morning. And the players might not have the stomach to get off the bus and they perform brilliantly against this Antrim team. And Antrim, yes, they don't have good footballers, and Kevin is right to an extent. He knows more than us, obviously. There is nothing coming through in Antrim at the moment from what I'm hearing. But what they have, surely, and what they have in a manager in Andy McEntee, is a grafter. They have grafters in the team. I think that might be enough to get over the line against Clare. And you looked at, there was an element from Clare last year that when the going got tough, they folded. Like against Down last year, they got absolutely hammered in Park Esler. That's another thing as well, going up to Ulster and getting hammered. Tyrone in Armagh absolutely got obliterated, and against Donegal, the game was over after, 10, 20 minutes. I feel like if someone gets a lead on Clare, a big, big lead, things could capitulate very quickly. So I think for that reason, and the reason because Antrim are at home, I think Antrim might nick this one. I think it'll be Antrim by a point.
There we go. Look, they did start the league very, very strong last year, and as I said, they are very good at home. They still have good players as well. In fairness, in there, and Roy McQuillan was a player who caught the eye a little bit last year. I remember from looking at him in that game versus Down. But yeah, no, I am going to go for Clare here. I think they'll do it by about 4 or 5 points, in my opinion. I think it'll be handy enough. Kildare versus Fermanagh. Kildare down in Division 3. They did lose this game last year, albeit it was away from home. And Fermanagh, it is the two teams who were relegated last year. I have seen the new stadium in Newbridge. It looks very nice, in fairness. And look like, as much as we give them stick, they actually did do a good job on it, in fairness. And Brian Flanagan coming in, it feels like Kildare should get their act together this year. It feels like they should get back to a little bit of normality. Or what do you think? Do you think Kildare are going to be too strong in this division, or do you think maybe they could continue their downward spiral?
I think they'll go up. I think they'll actually finish behind Sligo, because I think they'll lose to Sligo in Markovich Park. That's going to be a difficult game for them midway through the league campaign, but I think they'll win the rest. But I agree with what Seamus said on my podcast last night. If Kildare don't win 7 out of 7 in Division 3, it would be seen by Brian Flanagan as a failure, because Kildare do have talented players. It is well documented. And Brian Flanagan is coming in now trying to change the persona of this team. But I think they will beat Fermanagh this weekend. I think that game last year, Kildare were just at a low ebb. And things just didn't go right for them on the night that night. Fermanagh are kind of a linear kind of way, whereas Kildare, you'd hope with Brian Flanagan having his influence on the team, are going up. So I think for that reason, I think Kildare will win this game by about 5 points in the end. And just on a side note as well, I actually went to Newbridge for SARS and Schlott Neal game and was in the stand doing stats and stuff like that. it is a brilliant facility. And I think Kildare could make that place a fortress because the pitch is very tight. Obviously, it's right next to the fans as well. It's very tight dressing rooms as well for the opposition. So yeah, I think Kildare could make the place like their home, like a really good home for them. So yeah, I think Kildare will do well in St. Connor's Park this year, and I think they'll win this game by about 5 points.
There we go. I think Fermanagh are a good team though, and I think they'll be close, closer maybe than 5. I think I'll go with a 2-point win. I think for Kildare, I think it will be a little bit closer. Nearby also just saying here, just on Antrim, Roy Murray is back, which can be a positive. He played well for my club and got to the Senior Football Championship semi-final. Yeah, look, Roy Murray being back will be huge for Antrim. He was very good there for a good couple of years, I remember. So that will be a big boost for them. In fairness, and then we do have Leitrim versus Laois, and Keane was saying here, hoping that Leitrim can get their Division 3 campaign up and running with a win. Laois are the visitors to Ballinamore, and this is a major opportunity for Laois to get points on the board. Keane also says nobody believes that Leitrim will do anything in Division 3 and will be relegated, so let's prove all the doubters wrong. What are you thinking? Do Leitrim have a chance here?
For me, with the off-season stuff that went on, Mickey Graham getting into the job and then leaving, and then Stephen Porter coming in as well. A few retirements here and there as well. I don't think it looks good for Leitrim going into this Division 3 campaign. Laois have lost a lot of players. I've seen on X previously today. But I think they still should be too strong for Leitrim. And to be honest, I think whoever loses this game is going to be in major trouble of actually going down to Division 4. Seamus said this last time in my pod, and I actually agree with him. It's a major opportunity for Leitrim to stake their claim in Division 3 in a way, but I think Laois will get the job done. Unfortunately for Keane there, I think Laois will win this game by about 4 points, just because of the players that they are missing, the likes of Owen Lowry, Paul Kingston, Evan O'Carroll's injured as well. That's a few losses there for Laois. They still have the likes of Mark Barry there, so I think they'll have enough firepower to get over the line by about 4.
Yeah, like I predicted Laois to get promoted, and haven't seen a lot of the players who have left. This can be the problem sometimes when you do your predictions before seeing the news articles and everything else. And I still do like the look of Laois though. I still think they have a lot of good players there. I do rate Justin McNulty as well. I think he did a sensational job with Laois last year to get them promoted in the way that they did, and then obviously get into a Tailteann Cup final as well. I am going to go for Laois. So look, I hope for your sake, Keane, you're always on here commenting, so I appreciate it. And I've no dog in the fight. So look, I'd like to see Leitrim win it, but I am going to go for Laois. I think they just will be a bit too strong, and I'll go for them to win by 4. How much do you think Laois are going to beat Leitrim by? 2 or 3? Did you say?
By 4 points.
4 points as well. There we go. Making a record of all this here for the Out Predictions League, so I don't have to go back and watch this. Anthony says there be no games over the weekends. Jesus, you're very positive, Anthony. GA should end February, finish up September. There we go. Yeah, Jesus, we're going into different chat there. Keane says Laois beat us pretty well in last year's Division 4 final. Yeah, they did. In fairness, they did look very, very good. Division 4 then. Carlow versus Tipperary. What are we thinking here? Tipperary, no. Connor Sweeney, Shane Curran in charge of Carlow as well.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. Shane Curran could be anything as manager. He really could.
He followed me on Twitter the other day as well, which I was just out of the blue. I was like, okay. I don't know if you're watching, Shane, but look, we wish you the best.
Yeah, that's a bit random though on a Thursday evening. Yeah, I'd say Carlow will win this game. They're at home. It's an opportunity to do well in Network Cullen Park. Tipperary are on a low ebb at the moment. You looked at their squad on social media in the last few days. What I noticed, there's no lot more Castleiney players on the panel, and they're the county champions. And that just epitomises everything about Tipperary football in the last few seasons. Obviously, Conor Sweeney's gone. Michael Quinlivan hasn't given any interest in returning either to the Tipperary fold. A lot of pressure on Sean O'Connor from Clonmel Commercials produce the goods. I don't think the season looks great for Tipperary in all honesty. So I'm going to go for Carlow to win this one by 6 points.
Wow. Gavin says Carlow Cake Masterclass incoming on the Rossies. Yeah. I wouldn't go with 6 points. I still think Tipperary have good players there. The likes of Sean O'Connor, maybe Oren Jones to come in. Liam says tip team announced. I actually haven't seen the team, to be fair. So I'm actually going to go the other way. Or actually, do you know what? We'll go with a draw. We'll go with a draw. Why not? We'll go. We'll sit on that fence there. We'll go with a draw. Wexford versus London. Wexford have been, they were so close to promotion last year. I think they won, was it 5 of their 7 matches? And the only games they lost were the 2 teams who were promoted. It feels like maybe this might be the year for Wexford and John Hegarty to get over the line in Division 4. But if they are to do that, they have to win this weekend, surely.
Yeah, this is a must win for Wexford if they have any aspirations of going out. No disrespect, obviously, to London. And travelling to Wexford Park as well, it's going to be difficult for those London players, especially with the storm and everything, which is brewing up behind me. It's getting started already. But especially for the London players, just getting on the plane over to wherever the nearest airport would be. I'm guessing that'd be Dublin, I suppose. But it's going to be tough for them, especially these weather conditions. And if the game does go ahead, I think Wexford will win this one by about... I'm going to go Wexford by 12 points.
There we are. I'm going to go for a 9-point win for Wexford there. I think, at home. I think for London as well. I'm not too sure when they actually fly over to Wexford. Well, obviously not fly to Wexford, but fly to Dublin and then make their way down. This definitely could be a game that maybe could be cancelled, potentially. Wicklow versus Waterford. I suppose Wicklow coming in ended last year on a positive enough note, I would say. Given the win versus Westmeath, nearly beat Kildare as well. They definitely look like one of the favourites. And again, if Wicklow are to be promoted, you would have to expect them to surely beat Waterford, albeit if Waterford did get a couple of decent results last year themselves as well.
Yeah, I think Waterford might surprise a few people in this Division 4 campaign. They do have some very good players, the likes of Queven Walsh at fullback. Alan Dudwoody scored 2 goals and 5 points in the Sigerson Cup recently against MTU Kerry. He looks a really talented young player, and that's a guy to really keep an eye out for on the Waterford panel. I think there's good things coming out of Waterford, especially after winning 2 games last year. That will give the players a lot of confidence. Paul Shanky seems to be getting good tune out of them. Albeit Oshie McConville is getting better tune out of Wicklow. And I feel like this will be a Wicklow win. It won't be a hammering, I don't think. I think Waterford will fight 2-0, and it isn't that far of a trip to travel for them. So I'm going to go Wicklow by 7.
There we go. Yeah, I'm going to go Wicklow by 5. And then last but not least, and probably actually one of the most interesting games of Division 4 this weekend is Longford versus Limerick. You'd imagine these two will be up closer to the promotion spaces rather than, down near the bottom. Longford obviously have a new manager coming in Mike Solon. Limerick did what feels like end the rot a little bit towards the end of last year. They got a couple of results in the Tailteann Cup. It's hard to kind of know what way Longford are going to go into this. They, I remember positivity around Paddy Christie, and that just never materialized. And I know you keep a close eye on Limerick football as well. So what will you be thinking here?
I think Limerick have players that have potential to do well under these new routes. The likes of Josh Ryan in goal is almost like a Niall Morgan of Munster. I think he's a really, really good goalkeeper. He was a forward a few years ago. Now he's as a goalkeeper. So I think he'll be very, very good under these new rules. If James Naughton plays any part for Limerick, I think he'd be good as well. Ian Corbett, even though he's not the captain this year, it's going to be Killian Fahey. That's the captain for Limerick. I think Limerick will have a good Division 4 campaign and eventually go up. They have the footballers, there's no doubt about that. They have the strength to build as well. And Jimmy Lee seemed to be getting a tune out of them towards the end of the campaign. They've won a load of their last few games. They only lost, I think, in the Tailteann Cup. Itself to Down and to Sligo in the quarterfinals, and Down to Sligo obviously played out Triller in the semi-final afterwards. So Limerick have a lot to build on, and they weren't at their best last year. So there is an opportunity to go bounce straight back up this year. They were Division 2 a few years ago. Let's not forget that. They were there for a reason. They have some very good footballers in their team. So I think Limerick will win this game against it, and albeit a tough Longford side, I think Limerick will win it by 2, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, I fancy Limerick as well to get over the line. We'll be interested to see if they do have the likes of Ian Corbett or Danny Neville in the ranks, 2 players who came back for the Tailteann Cup last year, and especially Ian Corbett. I feel like he's nearly like the poster boy for Limerick football. He's always the man that people go towards. So yeah, I'm going to go Limerick by 2 as well. So yeah, that wraps up the predictions. In terms of player of the week and bet of the week, what are we thinking here?
Player of the week, it might be an outlandish one. I'm going to go for. No, actually, I'm not going to go outlandish. I'm just going to go safe. David Clifford for Kerry. I think it's an opportunity for him, especially with the long break that he had since October. Had November, December off, Christmas with his family. He's going to be red hot for on Sunday against Donegal. So I'm going to go for David Clifford. And what was the other thing?
Bet of the week or
bet of the week.
Whatever it might be, yeah.
I'm getting out of my predictions. Probably Antrim beating Clare would be my bet of the week. But there you go.
Yeah, I think for player of the week for me, I'm going to go Paul Conroy. I think with the new rules and everything else, I think he's going to take huge advantage. In terms of bet of the week as well, like again, it kind of, I suppose I went with Derry to beat Tyrone. I don't really know even what the odds would be for that one. Could be very even there. In fairness, like even just looking down through my predictions here. Yeah, I probably would go with that one really. Like you're looking at some of the rest of them. Could Down do something against Roscommon? I do have a sneaky feeling Down could do something there, to be fair. But I am going to stick with my Roscommon prediction there. Gavin says Ben O'Carroll or Conor Glass to get a goal, and Dylan says David Clifford isn't playing. I know there has been a long layoff, but I kind of was thinking as well, he doesn't usually come straight in. Or maybe has the team been announced? Or
if he isn't, then I'll have to change it. So I'm going to go Shea O'Hare for Tyrone.
There we go. There we are. So yeah, that's going to be the predictions. National Football League Week 1 in the books. Let me know as well. Like obviously, we're going to be getting a different guest on each week for the next 7 or next 6 league games, I suppose now. 6-game week. So let me know. Obviously, we will get some of the usual lads on, like Seamus, I'm sure will come on, John McMahon, a few of the others that you usually see on here. But if there's any other guests that you haven't seen on here before or anything of that nature, do feel free to comment it down below and feel free to let me know who you'd like to see jump on. And make sure to check out Matthew's podcast as well, and on Instagram and Twitter and everything else, doing some great work over there. And Gavin actually says here, Eamon said on RT's pod, the Cliffords are taking a break. So there you go. Maybe be back a little bit later in the league. But yeah, cheers anyone who tuned in. Hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll catch you all soon.